the Lashkar-e-Taiba or LET is back in the news and is supposedly behind the arrest of 5 terrorists suspected for allegedly planning explosions across Bengaluru. They were arrested by the Central Crime Branch or the CCB. The 5 were identified as Syed Sohail Khan, Muhammad Umar, Zahid Tabrij, Syed Mudassir Pasha and Muhammad Fasil. These are the 5 who have been arrested. However, there is one more suspect and supposedly the main one whose name is Junaid, who is now absconding. The arrested men, of course, are all of them in their 20s and they were nabbed from the home of one of them after the Karnataka State Intelligence Division alerted the CCB about their suspicious activities. Several neighbors and relatives said that they actually showed no signs of any suspicious activities as it were, and said, and let me quote, "We used to have small talks with the ladies in the house and it seemed like any other poor family struggling to make ends meet. In fact, they told me that they were struggling to even buy groceries," close quote. Yet another quote by neighbors which is coming in, quote open. "They only paid rupees 5,000 as advance. They requested that I give them some time to pay the remaining advance of 45,000 rupees since the child was sick and treatment costs were high." Obviously, this quote is coming from the landlord or the house owner where these men were staying. Yet another quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, I was told that Sohail was a painter. He used to stay at home many times and not many people visited them. There was no room for suspicion," close quote. So, these are the quotes. So, it is very, very clear and there is more of course, but let me also add that it seemed like they were all normal, perhaps poor, economically backward as it were, because they were not buying regular groceries, etc. Yet another quote, "I assumed that they were out of town. I realized that there was something wrong only when the police landed at their doorstep." So, these are the quotes. So, you see that they look like your regular guys. I mean, there was nothing where you could stand up and say, "Oh my God, they look like they are involved in something which is out of the ordinary." Those 5 men on your screen right now who have been arrested and sent to 15 days custody, these are men who are in their early to late 20s. No one is above, I think, 30 years old. Of course, Junaid, the main one, apparently, allegedly, as told by the police, is now absconding. Now, like I said, they are in 15 days custody and apparently they have confessed to their crime. Now, let us look at the crime web of this entire incident, as it were. Junaid, the man whose absconding, was arrested in 2017 for a murder he had committed in RT Nagar along with 21 others. Junaid was again arrested in 2020 along with his parents in the Sandalwood case. A case was registered against Junaid in 2021 under sections 399 and 402, which is preparation and assembling to commit dacoity. But he had absconded before his arrest. This person, Junaid, apparently went abroad and then contacted the accused and conspired to launch terror related activities in the city by supporting them with money and weapons. Now, what is most intriguing is that this Junaid, allegedly radicalized, by a 2008 Bengaluru blast convict T. Nasir while they were in jail together in 2017. And he was apparently influenced so much by Nasir, who was supposedly, allegedly a member of Lashkar-e-Taiba or LET, and hence the LET angle to the entire story. Now, the thing is that there has been a lot of up and down, to and fro, slugfest over politicians about this entire thing, because the BJP is questioning the ruling Congress why the case has not been handed over to the NA and the Congress is defending itself. Yashovardhan Azad, when you look at the south of India, I mean, I am not comparing, but south of India, we have read several reports about how vulnerable Kerala is, these are old reports and I am not going by what has been published lately. But also Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, 1 or 2 cases, cases in Andhra, Telangana, but Karnataka and Kerala, they have been in the news for several reasons and particularly PFI and other things. Do you think, but there is also a perception that as a country, as a nation, we have been able to curb what was very, very common in the 90s, Do you think that Karnataka is still extremely vulnerable to terror attacks after reading and hearing and perhaps analyzing this particular incident. 5 men, one absconding, radicalized in a prison by a man who has LET connections, then funding very so easily by digital, making digital payments. They have ready to use grenades. What do you make of this, Mr. Jha?
Well, there are a couple of things in this case which point to a very, very sinister design, and also points out to the extremely dangerous character of this entire setup. Now, lead modules have been in the country, not only in Bangalore or Karnataka and Kerala, but in all parts of the country, in the Hindi heartland also, there have been serious issues with lead activities. But yes, if you talk about radicalization, you would appreciate that during the ISIS regime, there were a number of youth which had gone from Kerala. And during their interrogation, it was revealed that how a very sophisticated kind of a propaganda on the internet was luring them. And some of them came back, some of them died, and some of them were completely disillusioned, and they came back into the manifold. We are lucky. We are lucky in India that not many have gone over to the ISIS, not many have fallen prey to the lead propaganda or others. This itself reveals that this homemade style of making bombs or trying to assemble weapons and things like that, they have learned from the internet. Some of them are very, very internet savvy. And mind you, one of the biggest centers for radicalization is turning out to be jails. That the police is looking into various areas. Jail is a very, very important area where they need to look at. Now, the important thing in this case is also that all of them have been previous convicts, doing something or the other. But it will be very, very important to know what would have been their targets. That is extremely important from the terrorist point of view. And mind you, this is a terror plot. And this comes under the scheduled offenses under the NIA Act. So the center is authorized to take it over. Now, whether they should take it over or not, it's a separate debate. And when you ask this question, I'll answer it.
How serious is this slugfest now? I mean, between the BJP and the Congress, because between everything that's brewing in the country, there is Manipur, of course, one of the most shameful acts today. As a woman, I can say this, I want to really hang my head in shame after those videos which have surfaced. But then that's happening. Then, of course, the opposition unity happened. But in all this, all I see on local channels is that, NIA, and they are saying, no, we don't want it, Priyank Kharge. So what exactly, why is it that they think that the Congress regime, must be the obvious thing, is completely incompetent to deal with it, Mahesh?
So they just played a bite of former Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai. So he mentions in that there are several sleeper cells. He was the former Chief Minister, mind you. So when he speaks such a tone, he must be having some knowledge about that. So why didn't the police take any action when their government was in power? Secondly, one former police commissioner who is recently joined BJP, Bhaskar Rao, pointed out that clipping of a newspaper in which the now Home Minister G. Parmeshwara said that can't call them terrorists yet. Saying that such soft statements against terrorists emboldens them, and why did you book UAPA against these terrorists? So these are the political slugfests that are going on.
Right.
And it has been the case when Congress was in power. Even they used to demand for CBI probe or NIA probe whenever such incidents happen. And I think Bommai's statements gains a lot of importance here. What exactly he means by saying there are several sleepers.
Right. Mr. Jha, I want to ask you, if you look at all those young men on the screen, like Mr. Ramesh said, all in their, mid-20s, not even 30 years old, 28 max. I want to ask you before, I'm running out of time, but I want to ask you, Mr. Jha, is there a particular profile that fits all these young men? I don't want to judge them, but they said that they were very kind of self-effacing. Apparently, the neighbors said they would not buy groceries. Look at them. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but I leave that to you, considering you've been a super cop. I mean, is there a particular type, as it were?
Things are changing. Once after the high-tech policing has been introduced, we are finding that even the most educated fall prey to radicalization. Okay. And even those who are unemployed, who are youngsters at the same profile, is extremely vulnerable also to radicalization and also to activities. But mind you, Sudha, I would still hesitate to call them terrorists as yet. Because, it has to be revealed why they were making these grenades. Why were those homemade guns over there? They were not sophisticated weapons. What is it for? Is it for sale to mining areas, or is it to, for committing any acts, etc.? So, but this profile fits in as a vulnerable youth which can fall prey to radicalization, which can fall prey to crime or fall prey to any activities of the handlers from above.
Right. Vijay, I have only 1 minute.
Yes.
So if you can.
One thing I question both Yashovardhan and S.K. Ramesh sir, why should they not be branded as terrorists? See, while dealing with terrorists, we have to be really brutal, no mercy to be shown. What is more shocking is the Home Minister, Mr. Parmeshwar, is reluctant to brand them as terrorists. See, we can know the intentions, we can know the kind of weapons that has been confiscated now, weapons have been seized, and the live grenades, the live bullets, and the pistols. If you see the intentions of them, I think it is not for them to for to be used in the mining, sir. I think it is to be. I think these people are waging a war against the country. And I think the government in the discussion has to be very brutal.
Right. Now, Mr. Ramesh, would you like to? I mean, I've just got 30 seconds, but I mean, I'm sorry, I'm preempting you, Mr. Ramesh, but I mean, unless someone is proven, guilty, every person is innocent. Is that why that, most policemen do not label people as terrorists or militants or anything which could be later they have to go back on?
Yeah, we shouldn't be hasty. The policemen are seasoned people. They do this job every day in and day out, and they would like to label people. The circumstances in which these 5 people have been arrested is highly suspicious, and there are weapons seized, there are ammunition, there are walkie-talkie. These are highly suspicious. But then we should take the investigation forward before we have to take the investigation forward before coming to a firm conclusion. We should not jump the gun. We are professionals, so we can't be hasty in labeling people.